right, Doom got a new trailer and a review, so let's get to it. Come on. 4K. Hold on, let me make sure it's in 4K. Even though I'm gonna render this video in 1080p. It's official. Oh my goodness, this game is crazy. I wish y'all could see what I'm seeing right now. For that iconic music.
Targets identified.
Let's get to it. Become the one they fear.
Weaponry deployed.
I can't wait to use that flail. That flail looks awesome. And the shield too.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Let's go. Hey. I love the gents. The time is now. They better have my son Mick Gordon. Is Mick Gordon on this? Bruh. It was composed by Finishing Move, a group called Finishing Move. So Mick Gordon did not do this music because, you know, the fallout that happened with, you know, a few years ago. I was hoping they got things shored up and did right by him, but I guess not. So this group called Finishing Move are the composers for this particular Doom game. But that was fire. That trailer kind of spoke for itself. I don't even got to say nothing about that. We're going to just move right on to the review. So let's make sure this is in HD. HD, baby. Put that in 4K. And let's get to it. Let's get to the review.
If there's one thing that's kept the name Doom up near the top of the list of first-person shooters, it's how it's always boldly reinventing being a badass, superpowered, one-man army against the armies of hell. 3 decades ago, we got the original old-school running guns, then a jump-scare-laden horror shooter, then a modern reimagining of that old-school running gun, and then a mobility-focused action shooter in 2020's Doom Eternal. The form that Doom: The Dark Ages takes on is actually one that is very different from Eternal, a game that I rank as one of my favorite shooters of all time. In fact, it's so different that initially I was turned off by the heavier feel of the movement, the lack of a double jump or air dash, and the sheer chaos of having wide open fields with seemingly hundreds of enemies closing in on me from all sides. But a few hours into the 20+ hour campaign, my arsenal had expanded, the ways in which I could dispatch enemies had diversified, and I'd started to better understand and appreciate what Doom: The Dark Ages was and what it wasn't. By the end of it, I was left grinning like a Doom guy that just picked up a super shotgun as I ripped and tore until it was done. Doom: The Dark Ages campaign is all about setting up the dark sci-fi fantasy vibes. It follows our strong, mostly silent Doomslayer before he was awoken in a sarcophagus in a UAC space station back in Doom 2016. Of course, the Slayer himself isn't much more than just a vehicle for badassery, so it's not like we're seeing a new side of him or getting any sort of deeper look at this character's origins or motivations. Instead, the Dark Ages story is more about filling in the blanks in the Doom universe, diving into the history of the conflict between humans and demons, and further fleshing out both the faction of humanity defending Sentinels and the deity-like Makers.
Launch the Slayer.
And in that way, it's not only serviceable, but it also does a good job of taking us to both a wide variety of hellish landscapes that includes sci-fi themed medieval castles, and a very welcome trip to the Lovecraftian inspired cosmic realm, which features a ton of really cool mind-bending puzzles and creepy settings that are different from what we've seen before.
Yeah, I want to know more about this
Perhaps the
cosmic
best
realm
thing
thing.
about the story is that it no longer feels like it's just the Slayer against the nameless forces of hell. There are human companions that are central to the plot.
Maybe he didn't survive.
It regularly feels like you're fighting alongside humanity in this giant all-out war against the demons. And there's actual intrigue involving the mysterious makers and their role in this whole conflict. This is the strongest a Doom story has ever been, even if that's not a bar you'd have to double jump over.
Captain
Besides the
Doomslayer.
setting, the big thing that separates Doom the Dark Ages from previous entries in the series is the addition of the Slayer's shield, and all the abilities that come with it. Now, rather than being forced to avoid taking damage by constantly staying on the move and jumping around like a madman, you're often encouraged to charge straight forward into danger with your shield at the ready to either block or deflect enemy attacks.
Oh, I like
Any
that.
attack that is red
I
can be
like
blocked
that
until
approach.
your shield's depleted, and anything that's green can be reflected with a well-timed guard to not only deal substantial damage, but also stun most monsters it hits.
Oh yeah, we cheesing with that.
Even
we
on
definitely
Nightmare
cheesing that.
difficulty, which is what I did my playthrough on, the parry timing is very generous. But fortunately, you can fine-tune it however you like in the menus, along with a ton of other handy difficulty
really?
modifiers. The other key shield technique is a charging bash attack that can be used to quickly close the distance between you and your enemy. Think the Super Shotgun's grapple in Doom Eternal, only faster. You can use it with any weapon, and it's on a relatively quick cooldown. I know, fun, right? This combination of being able to use the shield both defensively to block and stun, and then offensively to quickly zip in and out is what really elevates the Dark Ages combat to the stratosphere by making it still feel very fast and exciting, even with the removal of things like double jumps, quick dashes, and fast weapon swaps. We get the best of both worlds, in that this Slayer is still extremely mobile, but also feels like a heavily armored tank thanks to loud footsteps and a devastating shockwave when you land from a high jump.
I wonder if that shockwave was
The shield's
automatic.
utility doesn't end there either. Eventually, you'll also get the ability to toss the shield out, Captain America style, to instantly decapitate tons of fodder enemies all at once. Or, if you use it against larger enemies, it will continuously buzzsaw into them, keeping them incapacitated for a short while. This is an extremely useful skill, but I found it to be especially potent against the Arachnotron enemies that like to pepper me with a constant stream of non-reflectable bullets. If they're unarmored, I can just toss my shield to stop them from shooting, dash in, and all it takes is a single Super Shotgun blast to ready them for an execution. Those abilities are key to surviving tough fights because almost every enemy in Doom the Dark Ages has some sort of weakness like this, and unlike Doom Eternal, they are rarely weapon specific. There's
Yeah, that was annoying, having the weapon-specific weaknesses. That was annoying.
no more switching to the combat shotgun specifically to pop a grenade into a cacademon's mouth, then swapping to the rifle to snipe the guns off of a revenant, then swapping between shots of your super shotgun and ballista to quickly burst down a marauder or other big beefy enemy, etc. That's fun in its own way, and I'm sure there will be those out there, like myself, who still prefer it overall, but the Dark Ages still manages to find a way to be an absolute blast without requiring a StarCraft Pros level of APM on the harder difficulties. The enemies are largely the same usual suspects that have been in most of the other Dooms. You've got your Imps, Hell Knights, Mancubi, and the aforementioned Arachnotron, and even the Cyber Demon, all of whom behave as you would expect.
Nice.
Others have gotten new facelifts to better match with the new setting, like the Pinky, who's now a mount with a demon archer riding him, and the new Cacodemon that hails from the Cosmic Realm. The Dark Ages even brings
Cacodemon.
back the Vagary as a mini-boss who hasn't been seen since Doom 3. Overall, there's a nice variety in the enemies, and even those you've fought a million times before have a few new tricks to make them fit better in the Dark Ages combat. Speaking of enemies, it's worth mentioning as well that id has exponentially jacked up the number of on-screen nasties relative to Doom or Eternal. When you get a
Yeah, I mentioned that in the other video I made on this game. The enemy count is impressive with such a fast-paced moving game with a bunch of stuff going on the screen. It's impressive how they're able to put that many enemies on screen and still keep the same amount of quality and speed. I haven't seen a frame rate dip not once.
bird's eye view of the battlefield, it truly looks like an all-out war against the minions of hell. This did lead to a bit of frustration for me early on, as I was often getting attacked from behind by enemies that would spawn in without warning, but all it took was some adjustment in how I approached certain combat encounters. I had to make sure that I was using my shield bash to disengage in addition to engaging to keep them off my back.
Right.
One noteworthy omission from the Dark Ages is the iconic chainsaw that has been used since Doom 2016 as a way to instantly kill a single enemy and regain ammo in the process. That has been replaced by an all-new melee system that lets you get up close and personal and engage in melee brawls that also restore your ammo. I do miss the satisfaction of sawing an imp or other small enemy in half, but this system works better for what Doom the Dark Ages is trying to achieve by again making you rush towards the fight rather than away from it. The ammo pickups for your melee attack are also much more plentiful than the gas for the chainsaw in either Doom 2016 or Eternal, making me run out of ammo far less, which was something that I very much appreciated.
Yeah, because Eternal, like the gameplay became a little bit trivial. Like they made you like you could only defeat certain enemies with certain weapons, and then like they made you play the game a certain kind of way if you wanted to be successful, especially in the later levels and the later difficulties. This seems like it's going to have more freedom of movement and more tools for you to use to get the job done, and I like that. And you taking the fight to the enemies, like you running up. I like to run up when I'm playing Doom, and that's this game's gonna be right up my alley.
As far as the actual weapons go, the Dark Ages plays around a lot with the look of each weapon to give it an old-timey flavor, but the functions are generally all the same as what we've come to know and love from the series. All of the satisfyingly punchy stalwarts are accounted for. The combat and super shotguns, an assault rifle that shoots out rail spikes instead of bullets, a plasma rifle, and a long-range single-shot weapon in the form of the satisfying steel ball launcher called the Steel Shot, just to name a handful. The only really unique weapon of the bunch is the Skull Crusher Pulverizer, which sort of behaves like the chain gun, but has a ridiculous spread that can just absolutely shred a football's field worth of fodder enemies. It's a fun weapon.
It don't look like it though.
The Dark Ages absolutely insane amount of on-screen enemies at once, even though I typically opted to use the shield throw to mow down the hordes of fodder, since there's an upgrade that powers up the shield charge when you do.
That shield though looks so satisfying, bro.
For how the Dark Ages handles its arsenal is that just about every gun has a sister weapon that uses the same ammo type and can be hot swapped between with the press of a button. So, for example, along with a rocket launcher, there's a grenade launcher. In addition to the aforementioned pulverizer that does a little bit of damage spread out over a wide area, there's a Ravager that concentrates the fire to hit single enemies. It all adds up to a ton of variety in the gunplay, and while I was never forced to switch between my weapons in the same way that I was in Doom Eternal, I still found myself jumping from gun to gun, simply because it's fun. But the absolute best part about the toolbox in the Dark Ages is, and this is a credit to the weapon designers at id, because this is true for just about every Doom game, that every gun retains its usefulness throughout the entire game. Sure,
I like
might
that.
have my favorites and gravitate more towards the super shotgun, rocket launcher, and steel shot, but even the early weapons stay relevant once you get some upgrades into them. If I'm low on armor, I can swap to the combat shotgun that I upgraded to ignite enemies and make them drop armor shards. If I need health, I can swap to the Ravager to make them bleed health pickups. And if I need to incapacitate an enemy while also dealing damage to others nearby, I can throw my shield into a baddie, shoot the shield, and watch as my bullets ricochet and hit everyone else around. To sweeten the pot, all of these abilities and weapons are sprinkled at a measured pace throughout the campaign. There was never even a chance for the gunplay to get stale because every level would give me a new gun, or a new ability for my shield, or a new melee weapon, or I'd find enough gold to afford a new upgrade at the shop that would alter something I already had in a way that made me want to use it more. And it's this need to upgrade that fed into my desire to explore and find both upgrade currencies and the more traditional Doom collectibles like figurines, weapon skins, and lore pickups. Appropriately, the levels of the Dark Ages welcome that exploration with open arms. While they all vary in size,
I heard there was like 22 levels or something like that, and it takes like 9 hours to get through like the first like 10 of them or something like that. I saw some post on Twitter about that, but this is going to be a hefty game. It's probably be a 20-hour game, so I'm digging that.
The smaller stages are still big by the series standards, and the big levels are gigantic. They're huge, open battlefields with tons of secrets, challenging enemy encounters, and more than a few breathtaking vistas. Breaking up all the running and gunning are giant mecha battles and flying sections where you pilot the Slayer's dragon. Yes, the Doom Slayer has a dragon, because why not? These sections are shallow compared to the rest of the Dark Ages, with the mecha sections amounting to little more than a simple game of dodge, punch, punch, dodge, punch, punch. And the dragon bits are little more than dodge, shoot, shoot, dodge, shoot, shoot.
Yeah, you see what I was talking about? I was just saying that earlier in the video, where it's like it forces you to once you get to the higher difficulty levels and the later levels, it forces you to play the game a certain kind of way. I didn't like that about Eternal, but I love that this game has so many ways to play. You can use the dragon, you're using the big kaiju, the big robots. You have multiple weapons. You have a variant for each weapon. You have skills to upgrade to help you use the weapons in different ways. That is just so cool, man. Can't wait to play this game, for real.
Kind of like a turret sequence in that they're infrequent and brief enough to never drag the pacing down, and they at least provide cool moments in the cutscenes that precede and follow them.
Back up.
And then there's the soundtrack. Holy hell.
Uh-huh.
If you've played a Doom game before, you probably know what to expect going in. But even so, I was gleefully into it. It's another banger of a heavy metal soundtrack that had me coming back to certain levels after beating the campaign and just turning down all of the volume except for the music so I could listen without it being overpowered by the sounds of shotgun blasts, explosions, and dying demons.
That's the only way to play, man. That's the best way to play, man. Come on. You know the vibes. Oh, here we go. The verdict. I said a 9 or a 10.
More Doom. Doom: The Dark Ages is a new flavor of the legendary shooter series that's heavier and more grounded, but no less energetic and exhilarating. The new shield is an outstanding addition that adds a ton of both offensive and defensive options, and when combined with the extensive arsenal of traditional Doom guns, provides a ton of fun and exciting ways to dispatch the hundreds upon thousands of demons that stand in your way. Add on top of that another pumped up heavy metal soundtrack backing the excellent weapon, level, and enemy design, and it has once again proven that like a super shotgun blast from point blank range,
9 out of 10.
they don't miss.
Executive Reviews editor Tom Marks here. With
I love the sound design as well. That's another thing that's kind of underrated. Like not just the soundtrack, not just the music, but the sound design, the sound effects that come with this game, that the effort that they put into making everything just sound brutal and loud and explosive. That's one thing that I don't think gets talked about enough. Obviously, the music captivates, but so does the sound effects. To come up with all of these creative weapons and come up with sounds that make them sound devastating and heavy like that, very impressive in my opinion. Very impressive. So yeah, like I said, it's 9 out of 10. I'm definitely gonna be cheesing that parry move, and then when you jump up in the air and you hit the shockwave, or you jump up in the air and you hit the shield bash, we definitely gonna be spamming that in the shield charge. Like you're on some Kratos Captain America shit with this. Like, this is gonna be cool, man. It's definitely gonna be a game of the year candidate. That's already a given. And I don't see many games that might beat it. I said Lost Soul. I did say Lost Soul aside. There's Claire Obscure. That's like the highest rated game that came out this year so far. That's definitely gonna be up for contention, but we'll see. We'll see when we get to the end of the year. Let's get these games. Let's play them. And let's see which one reigns supreme in the end. I think this one, when the dust settles, is going to be nothing less than a contender, nothing less than a finalist. All right. So y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comments. All right. So you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.